The Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-9, NATO reporting name Fargo, was the first turbojet fighter developed by Mikoyan-Gurevich in the years immediately after World War II. It used reversed-engineered German BMW 003 engines, categorized as a first-generation jet fighter. It was moderately successful, but suffered from persistent problems with engine flameouts when firing its guns at high altitudes due to gun gas ingestion. A number of different armament configurations were testing, but nothing solved the problem. Several different engines were evaluated, but none were flown, as the prototype of the MiG-15 promised superior performance. A total of 610 aircraft were built, including prototypes, and they entered service in 1948 in the Soviet Air Forces. At least 372 were transferred to the People's Liberation Army Air Force in 1950 to defend Chinese cities against raids by Nationalist Chinese and train the Chinese pilots in jet operations. The MiG-9 was quickly replaced by the MiG-15, and 3 MiG-9s are known to survive. And that was from Wikipedia. Greetings to all. This is the unboxing video for the MiG-9 in 1/72nd scale by the Russian manufacturer from the 1990s called Skarabey. So I picked this model up last year at the Bring and Buy at Telford. In my mind, it was one of those lucky finds, especially for £4. So what do we get? So I've already taken the stuff out of the plastic bag. So we'll first take a look at the instructions. So you have a bit of history, painting guide, details about modelling, which is quite nice. I like that they break out the painting guide and include details on things like the wheel wells, the cockpit, and yeah, you're going to probably struggle to follow it, but with reference material that will help take you through it. So, main instructions. Picture there of the test pilot, which is always nice. I do like the pride, national pride the Russians take in their kits and in their aircraft. That's always something that does appeal. You've got options for 2 weapons variants, with either the heavy machine guns or the cannons. The cannons was the main production variant, so that's what I'm going to be building. You can see their cockpit is very basic. Main assembly, and then the detail parts assembly, including drop tanks on the wing tips and the armament. Well, the armament there and the engine. So nice, relatively straightforward kit. I believe that this is going to be either a metallic or a light grey finish. I've got to identify that. And I will be adding the rigging wire as well. So let's take a look at the plastic. The kit comes on 4 sprues. Take a look at the fuselage halves first. Now, these are raised panel lines with rivet detail. And yes, there is a lot of flash. But to be honest with you, clearing up flash is not particularly difficult. You've got reasonably detailed wheel wells, which is quite nice. 2 seat options, probably depending on the variant. And bearing in mind that this will also contain parts for the trainer, probably also why so much of this is sculpted out to allow for the trainer version as well. Wheels, yeah, they do have single piece wheels, but they do have flash. Again, that needs clearing up. Forward undercarriage and nose wheel, that's one piece as well. The detail on it is a mixture of raised and recessed. I'm really in 2 minds whether this is worth rescribing. I think with a bit of work, and if you use the metallic with a black base, you might even be able to scribe along the raised panel lines and get them to show quite well. So that is what I may consider on this. Or I might do a little bit of prescribing on the major panel lines and try it on that basis. But there's rivet detail on this that I don't particularly want to eliminate and then have to rework it. So, you know, I'm not overly discouraged by what I see on this. So you can see that you've got the rivet detail. It's quite subtly done. And it's something that can be worked with. Pretty much the same the other sprue. There are interior location points, which is useful. Injection points are going to have to be cleaned off. Well, honestly, if you accept that flash isn't particularly difficult to clean up, you just need to give it a little bit more time. In my mind, for an older kit, it's not bad. The plastic is quite hard, which I like. It's not like the soft A model plastic, so you can feel this kit was made for quite high manufacturing volumes. The cockpit options, basic cockpit floor, probably the rear one there being where the on the trainer version where the back seater would sit, but still usable. Might add side consoles to it. The wings, same thing. You can see there quite pronounced raised panel lines, but also quite fine detail with it. So I'm actually quite happy with that. Quite happy, very happy to work with that. It's not perfect, it's not a Tamigawa, but you know what, it's still worth building. Now, the canopies. There's two canopy options on this, depending upon which armament variant you're using. Issue here, invariably, the frame detail is very faint, if at all. So you're going to have to be particularly careful with the masking. Basically, mask in the basic frame and then work around that. So that's going to be quite interesting and entertaining to do, and I can see that being a bit of a pain, but again, it's far from insurmountable. Yeah, it is thick, it is flashy, and yeah, so what? Decals. Well, they're nice and basic. They're not going to throw too many stencils at you. Now, the way these numbers are broken up, I'm not entirely convinced I've seen them like that in the reference bits, but that's what comes with the kit, and I'm going to have a go at using them. Now, they haven't yellowed, so I don't really need to put them out in the sun. Only yellowed a little bit. But it's interesting that they put the white background star and the red. So that is two-phase. Now, that might lead me to actually using some spare stars, or I might have a go with what comes in the kit. But having to do a white background star and then overlay the red star on top of it, yeah. And you can understand some of the issues with that, trying to print the white with the red. We'll see how it goes. Might give it a go, or might use some appropriate size stars from the stash. Instrument panels as well as decals. Oh, seat belts, which isn't bad. Quite like that. Look better than some. I'll certainly give those a go. I wasn't sure what those were initially, but those aren't bad at all. So, and some stenciling as well. Can't really get this phone to focus on it, but it's not bad. See how thick it is. Let's see how it turns out. But yeah, I call that reasonable. So, looking this up, Skarabey, as far as I can ascertain from scale weights, aren't around anymore, but the kits, the mouldings were then reused by the manufacturer Maquette. So it's still around probably with them, so you could probably find this as a maquette kit. I haven't found any maquette models on my usual go-to source of Hannon's, but certainly worth looking out for. So you may not find it in this, where you probably won't find many Skarabey boxings, but you may certainly find boxings of this and of the two-seater version under the maquette boxing. Now for £4, to me that's top value for something like this. For an old kit, reasonable detail, yeah, I'm perfectly chuffed with that. Now the box is basic with, I think it's an exterior print on it. And I rather like the fact of getting a kit that's been knocking around for well in excess of 20 plus years, and now building it. It's certain satisfaction to that. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'll probably need a shed load of filler and rework, but it's going to be fun.